Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to welcome you all here to the Independent Living Fund gathering. I'm here to learn as well. Like many people, like many MLAs like myself, and I see other MLAs in amongst us here today, many MLAs like ourselves do not fully understand the Independent Living Fund or how it works or how much it really does give to those people who use that fund to give them a life worth living independently in Northern Ireland, and it's incredibly important. And we need to get a drive going to move it forward so new participants can join that scheme. We need to reopen it. We need to get it back out there again. We need more people being able to live their life independently and not stop from doing so purely because the funds aren't there to do so, or they can't live independently because they are a wheelchair or disabled user. So I think that's incredibly important, and I am here to learn and take this forward. I just wanted to welcome you all here. It's a real honour to be sponsoring this event today, and thank you all very much for coming along. Thank you.
Today's event offers a very valuable opportunity for recipients in Northern Ireland to provide some valuable feedback about their experience of the Independent Living Fund. And this is part of an ongoing process of engagement, and I think ILF Scotland is to be hugely commended for that. It represents real and meaningful co-production. That is an approach that is at the heart of our own transformation journey in Northern Ireland. And we know from our own experience of that this approach is essential if we are to drive meaningful and sustainable service improvement. Such improvement is vital if we are to properly support people to better exercise their rights, personal choice and life opportunities. And that is of huge importance to us. I also really want to take the opportunity of speaking to you today just to place on record my sincere thanks to ILF Scotland for the service they provide to users in Northern Ireland. And without wishing to preempt the feedback sessions that will come later, the sense I get is that the services that are provided are efficient, effective and very much valued by users. I think that's a testament to the hard work and dedication of colleagues across ILF Scotland. I just really want to place on record our sincere gratitude from all of us in Northern Ireland for that.
In 2013, the Disabled People's Independent Living Movement signed a shared vision for the independent living. That was signed by the Scottish Government, the Scottish Health Service and the local authorities in Scotland. It was signed because we all agreed that it was good for individuals, it was right for public bodies, it was right for the economy, and it was right for society as a whole. Independent living does not mean living by yourself and doing things by yourself. It simply means disabled people having the same choice, control and freedom over their lives as any other citizen. Personal care, personal support, or whatever you want to call it, isn't the handmaiden of health. It is the means by which we can exercise our right to independent living. Independent living is a right under the Article 12 of the United Nations Conventions of Rights for Disabled People. That means that personal care is a way in which we can exercise are human and civil rights in society. Thank you.
Independent living is a concept, it's a movement that's been around the globe since the 70s. It's a way of being, and we all understand that, but what we need to do is to jointly share that message with our politicians, with our civil servants, with the public, with other disabled people, so that together we strengthen that message and make sure that we can, as has already been mentioned this morning, reopen the funds in Scotland and here in Northern Ireland. Because at the moment we have an inequitable system in both Scotland and in Northern Ireland, because what we have are people who very rightly receive the fund, and that enables them to have that what we call additionality. It's probably a bit of jargon, but that just means that you can use that money in a way to actually properly participate in your community, whether that's going to musical gigs, whether that's being an activist and getting involved in campaigning, whether it's going to work, whether it's being part of your community. Whatever that means to you as a disabled person receiving the fund is really important. And that has to be person-centred. And together, I think that if we can strengthen that message, we'll actually progress this for other disabled people, because you all know how valuable the fund is to your son or daughter, to you as an individual, and therefore it's vitally important that we progress that work and make sure that we get those human rights for other disabled people. And I think, what we need to stress is that disabled people are a big part of the public. And my understanding is that we can bring about change here in Northern Ireland if we can convince our civil servants that it is in the public interest. And I really truly believe it is in the public interest of us, our public, us as disabled people, because we contribute hugely to society. We actually contribute as taxpayers, some of us. We contribute because we're members of our own communities. But we also contribute because we're employers. We create employment through some of us employing our own personal assistants, and we also create employment because through our range of different needs, organisations have sprung up over the years, haven't they, that provide that essential social care support. So we have a very valuable thing to bring to Scotland, to Northern Ireland, and I want to give you my word, my commitment, the commitment of my fabulous colleagues from ILF who work tirelessly. I can't recommend them more highly to you. We will continue to work to support everything that you want and everything that you need and everything that people, our colleagues out there who currently don't have the benefit of ILF, need in the future. Because I really believe that with that vision, we can all strive and work towards that goal together.
Life is not about being stuck in a room. Life is not about being stuck in a bed. Life is not about being stuck in a house pointing in one direction for 2 or 3 hours at a time. Life is about living like everybody else lives, and that's all I'm asking for. I'm not looking the world here. I'm just looking to live a life like anybody else might live it. That's my raison d'etre and the reason for having this here today. So, I'm talking about life worth living, but I think sometimes the wee small important bits of life are forgotten in some of what we do. I went to a funeral of a friend and colleague a month ago, and 10 years ago I went to 2 funerals of 2 of my workers, one of who had died from cancer and one of who had died from a stroke. And before going to the funerals, I went up to see them in the Royal Victoria Hospital, in the hospice, and in their nursing home. The interesting thing is that the manager, one of the workers that I was currently employing at the time, was also working in the nursing home, and she was keeping an eye on my former worker and making sure she was okay for me and coming back and telling me how she was. But she'd said to the manager that I was going to come down to visit because the lift in the nursing home was quite tight, and they were trying to check, could I get in, the one was upstairs, could I get in the lift? And when she told her manager that, the manager says, why would you want to come and see a former employee? And I thought, that's some attitude. for a manager in a nursing home. So I went and I saw her. She couldn't move. She had no movement at all. She had no speech. John, here's some coffee. But she's a big smile for me when I went in. She died a short while afterwards, and I went to the funeral just down the street. The other worker that died from cancer, I went up to see him at his hospital bed 2 or 3 days a week. I went up to see him in the hospice 2 or 3 days a week. And then I went to see him at his graveside. I could have done none of it, without ILF. Not what we have in the current health service, in the trusts, would have let me go out all those times with somebody with me to go and see good people who had cared about me. And who I wanted to say goodbye to. And ILF did that. And it's the wee things like that that we forget about. Where are we with this society at the minute, where we have trusts that will not allow people to get out their door if they are severely disabled? Many people do get out, don't get me wrong, but those that get out have a level of ability to enable them to go out without assistance. I'm talking about people who need to go out, the most severely disabled people in this country, who need to go out with assistance. I can't go anywhere, nowhere at all, without somebody with me. I have to say, I wouldn't be here today without ILF. It makes a massive change, not only to my life, but to life in society. And we need to really get a grip on that. It's not just about the individuals. It's about how that impacts on society as a whole, and how society then sees disabled people out living their lives and doing their thing, and that impresses on the general public. And the health and social services need to lead the way on that. They need to push that, and they need to give some direction, so as the general public sees disabled people as active members of this society, not just receiving but contributing. And that's what ILF enables people in my circumstances to do.
Hello everyone, my name is Declan. I am 26 years old and suffer from locked-in syndrome. Up until age 19, I lived a very normal teenage life. I loved swimming, being with my friends, and crazy about film and media. My dream was to become a film director, and I made sure that I got a part-time job in my local cinema so I could be among the blockbuster movie theme. I loved it. But that all changed on the 16th of March 2012. Sorry. I suffered cardiac arrest in my bedroom and died in my bed. As I now know, my mother found me, called my father for help, and luckily he knew CPR and breathed life into me until the paramedics arrived. They took over, and after 13 electric shocks, my heart started working again. I had a genetic heart condition, of which was unknown to myself and my family. And now I have a brain injury. I cannot see, move, talk, or eat. But I can hear, and I communicate by blinking. I can feel my whole body, and I am fully aware of the world around me. The easiest way to describe locked-in syndrome is to imagine being buried alive. I spent 1.5 years in hospital and recall many times listening to doctors and people etc. saying my life was over. I was crying inside my head and shouting, "I am here," but no one could hear me. But thankfully, my parents and family were not giving up on me. and persevered in championing for me to receive the best medical help possible. Yes, my life is very challenging now, but my dreams haven't changed. I am still me. I still want to go swimming, go to the cinema and meet friends, but I require a lot of help to achieve this. I rely on carers and family to help me, not just to provide daily personal care. What about social care? Being able to go out, to go on holiday, to enjoy life and interact with society as I did before. To live as independent as possible. Just because I have a severe disability shouldn't mean that I am prevented from being part of society. I and people with similar disabilities need to be treated equally. After learning that I don't receive ILF and many others, approximately 400 people in Northern Ireland do, I ask, why do I not? Can we not be treated the same and be given the same chances to enjoy the rest of our lives as best we can by living independently? Being as severely disabled as I am, I have taught myself how to enjoy my life as best I can. And two things that keep me focused are independence and having a purpose in life, fulfilling my interests with some help. So, to our decision makers regarding the Independent Living Fund, please can you help the rest of the people, the disabled people in Northern Ireland like me, who don't receive ILF. In receiving this help, our lives would be so greatly enhanced, as others in receipt of ILF have explained. One thing to remember: disabled people in Northern Ireland generate a lot of business. One person's illness can be another person's success. Finally, to our government representatives, please support and reopen the application process for ILF for people like me, and restore equality for all. Someday, disability might just knock your door, and trust me, you will need all the help you can get. Declan.
There's one thing we all in this room have in common, without exception. We're all human beings. Does everybody agree with that? Yeah? We're all human beings. And so if we're all human beings, we're entitled to be treated with dignity. We're entitled to autonomy, and we're entitled to live our lives with equal worth with other human beings. These are the fundamental principles set out in the General Comment number 5 by the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities on the right to independent living. It's also in the International Covenant of the economic and cultural rights and political and civil rights, and the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. It's a long-standing human right. It is not a service. It is not about competing budgets. It is not about austerity and a global economic climate. It is about our humanity and how we are treated and how we should be treated, because it is a fundamental human right. And the UNCRPD Committee and other international committees have said that we are entitled to be treated with dignity, equality and autonomy. We're entitled to go to the cinema, to go swimming, to have an interest in directing, to go and visit our friends, to say goodbye to our friends, It shouldn't be a drama. It shouldn't be a crisis. We should all have that basic fundamental right. It's no different to what anybody else wants or requires. We are not asking for special needs. We are not asking for equality. We're asking to be treated as human beings, entitled to fundamental human rights. So stop the notion of budgets and crisis, and we've got to do this, and there's this competing budget, and we don't have ministers, and we don't have this. It's very clear in the general comment that this right cannot be removed simply because there is an economic crisis, simply because there is austerity. To pot with austerity, we are human beings, and stop telling us that we're not, because we are, and give us our rights, because we are entitled to them. Thank you.
Firstly, can I just, from my own perspective, say thank you to everybody for the really moving and important stories and testimonies we heard today. It is very, very powerful. Just to clarify, it's not just as simple as a public interest test. A public interest test is one component of it, but the important thing is that the legislation that was passed last year does not put civil servants in the place of ministers. There is a clear policy position on this. We can take decisions with reference to the public interest test within the context of an existing policy position. What I'm certainly very, very happy to do in anticipation of ministers coming back is to do any preparatory work in terms of scoping and scaling what a new position might be, so that a minister is able to take a very, very rapid decision when appointed. And certainly we can test the legal position about what other changes may or may not be possible in that. And frankly, hearing the stories today, how could any civilised human being not at least do that? But certainly, we will push this as far as we can.
I am an elected representative. People put me here. People pay me to be here. I should be working for you people, and I am not. And I am sorry. I am genuinely sorry that I am not doing something that will improve your life. I will work harder. I speak for one of 90, but I tell you, all 90 of them MLAs want to work on your behalf. It is not about party politics. It is about working for you. Thank you all very much for coming along. Incredibly informative. I'm incredibly moved by it. Thank you very much indeed.